Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Undergraduate webinar series, an interactive online platform connecting us, the Ashoka community, to high school students. Thank you for joining us today for the open house. I am Damini. I am a fourth year student at Ashoka University, currently completing an advanced major in English and a minor in performing arts. I also have a major undergraduate degree in English and a minor in history. Our speaker for today is Mr. Ali Imran, Vice President, External Engagement at Ashoka University. Welcome, Ali. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Damli. Good evening. Hi, everyone.
Before we get started, I would just like to inform our audience that the deadline for round one admissions to Ashoka's undergraduate program is 22nd November 2023. You do not have to wait for your 12th board marks or CUET to apply. You can get a confirmed offer of admission and financial aid both by January 2024. Now, without any delay, I would request Ali to please take over and address our audience. And audience, kindly type all your questions that you may have during the presentation in the Q&A box on your Zoom screen, and we will take them up later in the Q&A session. Let's get started.
Thank you, Damini. Welcome, everyone, to this conversation. Thank you for making the time at what it must be an extremely hectic period because of the festive season. These sessions are always better in person, but given that so many of you are joining in from so many different parts of the country, this is still the most efficient method. So what I will do is I'll walk you through a brief presentation on Ashoka, and then we will take your questions which Damini and the team will facilitate. So like she mentioned, please do type them in the Q&A box as we go. I will now share my screen and then walk you through the presentation. Just let me know if you can hear me and if you can see the presentation once I share it. Is it visible now to everyone? Damini, can you confirm that it's visible?
Yes, it's visible. If you could just go into presentation mode.
Yeah. And now? Hello?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about Ashoka. Let's talk about why it's the best option really for a child wanting to make a career and in fact to make a life in the 21st century. Um, Ashoka has been around only since 2014, and sometimes when we look back, it seems like how did all this even happen in these 10 years? But we really were the first institution to bring liberal education into the mainstream of an India in which you and me and many others of our generation have grown up, which was all about professional education, engineering, law, medicine, and at a stretch, commerce, right? But with the coming of Ashoka, liberal education really emerged as an option on its own and a full-fledged one and a very relevant one for the challenges which children of today will face as they go into life and into the workforce. So liberal education essentially it's not, the word liberal very often is misunderstood, but what it is that it is a pedagogy, it is a way of teaching. So you have the freedom to choose what you want to study. This is something that was never offered before. This is something that the school system did not offer. This is something that most universities do not offer even today. But at Ashoka, you do have the freedom to choose what you want to study. Liberal education, contrary to what most may think, is not the study of the humanities. It is the study of the natural sciences, the social sciences, and the humanities. And this goes all the way back to Greek times, when you had to be a person who knew all of these to be considered a person of learning. It is an interdisciplinary approach. It is not a tunnel into which you drive and learn only one subject. You learn how different subjects interact with each other and how to arrive at solutions which bring into play this understanding of how they interact with each other. It allows you breadth and depth. So you will first experience breadth. At Ashoka, you will do a set of foundation courses, which will give you exposure to many of the disciplines that you can then choose one out of and do a deep dive into. And that's why the student becomes a T-shaped student. And lastly, apart from imparting knowledge of the subject and apart from imparting knowledge of how that subject intersects and interplays with other subjects, you will learn skills. And these skills, irrespective of which career you choose to pursue or what you choose to do in your life, will come in handy in the 21st century. And these skills include critical thinking, which is the ability to look at a problem from many angles before you come to an answer. Unlike the current system, where you have to jump to an answer very quickly because you have to answer the paper in 3 hours and there is only so much time. So you basically memorized what you were taught in class and you're reproducing that in the paper. Problem solving, thinking about a problem in a logical way, and then arriving at a solution after having looked at every aspect of it using the critical thinking I spoke about. Communication, one of the skills that is not taught in most institutions even today, but which is central to all success, honestly. And today, when workforces are global, when you're going to be working across people with different motivations, who use different languages, whose understanding of the work is different, you need to be able to communicate your point of view in speaking, in the spoken and the written form. And lastly, social awareness. Today, with the environmental issues that we are all witnessing on a live basis, taking over so much of the conversation, it is important to have awareness of the work that you, your organization, your country, and so many other things that you're a part of is having on society and on the environment. So that's what a liberal education does. It's so much more than just reading up a book or doing the exercises at the end of a chapter and then coming and answering questions in the paper. What makes Ashoka unique in this area, because there are other universities now which have emulated us? Um, Firstly, you will get to explore before you choose. And if you add up all the options that are available to you at Ashoka in terms of the combination of subjects, majors and minors, etc., that Damini was speaking about, are concerned, you could actually have 250 plus combinations available. And that is something which is very unique. You do not have to commit as soon as you enter, even though we've asked you for your preference in the application. You do not have to commit as soon as you enter about which subject you're going to be taking as your major. You will learn from the best, and this is something we say with absolute confidence. The faculty at Ashoka, if you even take a cursory glance at the faculty lists of all competing universities and perhaps all universities in India, you will find that this is the best faculty in the country, picked from the best institutions across the world, where they have studied, where they have taught, and now they have chosen to come to India to be a part of what Ashoka is trying to do in the field of higher education. You will go beyond rote learning. It's something that you may have had to do throughout your life, but the promise here is that you will learn subjects in a depth and with a method that you have not experienced till now. So this is real learning. This is not memorizing. This is not just something you do for the sake of doing it. This is something that you will choose. And when you choose your subject combination, you will learn those subjects in the way that they should be learned. And that learning will stay with you as you go along in your life. Uh, we are a world class institution offering you a world class education, but our commitment is to make it affordable for you. So, if by any chance the family is unable to pay or is able to pay only a part of the cost of their Ashoka education, the university will make up the difference and will provide financial aid. And we'll talk about that later in the presentation as well. This is about more than your grades. At Ashoka, you will get to explore many of the things, many of the aspects of your personality that you may have not got a chance to explore in the last 2 or 3 years because of the pressures of the boards and of class 12 and of the choices that you're having to make right now. So you will get a chance to explore all those aspects. You will have the opportunity to be with like-minded people. You will find people who share your interests. And therefore, it is a much more holistic and well-rounded experience than just an academic experience. You will be with a diverse and vibrant student body. For a liberal education institution, it is crucial to have a student body from which every student can learn something. So only 50% or maybe less of your education at Ashoka will be what happens in the classroom. The rest will be what happens when you interact with your peers and your seniors and your juniors. And that is something that simply cannot be replicated or reproduced in a traditional system. India's best have contributed to Ashoka. We started out with a small group of founders. Now we have more than 200 founders and donors who number among the best known industrialists, philanthropists, educationists in the country and in some cases in the world. And this is a combination which you will not find in any other university. Most private universities are funded by a family or a single person. Not the case here. And each of these people is an achiever in their own right. They could have started a business school or a medical school or an engineering school, but they chose to start Ashoka because they believed that this is the education that India needs at this stage of its evolution. And of course, most importantly, not only will you get to learn in the way that I've already described to you, but this is your launchpad to become a leader. The leader doesn't always have to be a CEO. You can be a leader in whichever field you choose to be in. You can be a leader in the small group in which you work, but you will learn to think like a leader. And you will also learn then how to work with people and make things happen in a leadership position. The undergrad program, which is what you're here to discuss and talk about at Ashoka, as per the new education policy, it is now a 4-year program. We have 9 foundation courses, which I've already spoken to you about. We have major and minor courses. I'll talk about that in a moment. We have co-curricular courses, which allow you to explore the aspects of your personality that I spoke about. And we have research opportunities, very unusual at an undergrad level in India. As per the new education policy, the students have the option to graduate with a BA honors or a BSc honors degree after 3 years. But if you really want to get the maximum benefit out of the program, then it is recommended that you do the full 4 years and graduate with the complete experience of an undergraduate degree that Ashoka had envisioned right in the beginning. These are the foundation courses. The idea of the foundation courses is to give you a basis in what makes up a liberal education. And these disciplines will then help you deepen and enrich your understanding of your chosen major. So we have introduction to critical thinking. I've spoken about that already. We have environmental studies, again, a very, very important area of life, and that's going to continue for the rest of the century for sure. Great books. Many of you may not be readers, but this will be a chance to experience some of the great books that have ever been written. Literature in the world, how literature interacts with the world, and how literature shapes the world in some ways. Principles of science. This is scientific thinking. Even if you're a non-science student, this will help you to structure your thinking. Economy, politics, and society, something that you need to understand, irrespective of which career or which job you're going to pursue. Indian civilizations, most of you may have studied this at the school level and found it either boring or just something that you had to memorize, but this will be something that you haven't experienced before. Mind and behavior, the study of the human mind and how why we all behave the way we do. Again, something that you need to know if you need to make a success of your life as you go ahead. And lastly, quantitative reasoning and mathematical thinking. And the reason why this is important is that irrespective of what you choose to do, even if you're an English major, it helps you to know some mathematical models and a quantitative approach to to solving problems, right? So these foundation courses are common to all students, irrespective of what your final major is. You do not have to declare a major actually till your third semester, so you have enough time to explore and then decide. Here is a list of the majors that we offer. Our pure majors are bio, chemistry, computer science, eco, English history, maths, philosophy, physics, political science, psychology, sociology, and anthropology. We also have a set of interdisciplinary majors, which are majors that have already been combined because they belong together in a sense. So there's computer science and entrepreneurial leadership, there's maths and computer science, there's eco and finance, there's English and creative writing, there's English and media studies, there's economics and history, politics, philosophy, and economics, of course, for those interested in building a career in the civil services or even in politics, not offered in most of the institutions of the world, mostly in the Oxford and Cambridge type of institution. History and IR, again, for people who want to get into diplomacy typically. English and performing arts, philosophy and computer science, very interesting combination, and psychology and philosophy. The asterisks that you see here against three of the subjects, 4 of the subjects, maths is a prerequisite at the school level for studying these subjects. And that's something that you need to keep in mind. So those are the majors. Coming to the minors and the co-curriculars, the minors include entrepreneurship, environmental studies, international relations, media studies, visual arts, performing arts, creative writing, Sanskrit studies, China studies, and astronomy, a new and popular minor. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Shama Roy Chaudhary, is actually one of India's most eminent astrophysicists and astronomers. In fact, he was a part of the Chandrayaan project, which you will be aware of, the landing on the moon. And the co-curriculars, which allow you to explore creative aspects of yourself. And you have to do two co-curricular courses while you're at Ashoka: art, film, performing arts, languages, photography, and theatre. And all pure majors that I showed you on the previous slide can also be minors. So theoretically, you could have a biology major with an English minor, or vice versa, right? Again, a very, very interesting option that you don't get in most institutions. On the sciences, for the people who may think, like I said earlier, that this is only a humanities program, there are many, many compelling reasons to pursue sciences at Ashoka. And the first, of course, and very important, is that the pedagogy that we follow is a liberal arts pedagogy. So while you're learning the science, you're also learning not only how it intersects with other sciences, but also how it intersects with other subjects which are non-science subjects. So the real world applicability of what you learn is that much more. You have globally acclaimed research and teaching faculty. Our faculty are from the best institutions, including the IITs and the ISERs and institutions across the world. This is an industry-oriented teaching and curriculum and an application-based teaching and curriculum. A lot of classes actually take place in the lab. So it's not like you learn the theory separately and then do the practical separately and never understand how the two belong together. That's not the case here. And you will get to participate in live research. Every Ashoka faculty is doing research, because research is our next big agenda. So there is a chance at the undergraduate level to be part of live research into issues which matter. Again, a very exciting part of studying science at Ashoka. And you will be looking at real life problems. You won't be looking at only what the book says about why an equation, why a chemical reaction takes place, or why a biological phenomenon takes place. You will be looking at how this is applicable in the real world and how it is helping to solve real problems, right? So unique experience again for an undergrad student, and that really only Ashoka offers. These are the pure science majors: bio, physics, chemistry, maths, and computer science. We also have three interdisciplinary majors: computer science and entrepreneurship, computer science and maths, and computer science and philosophy. So that's a set of eight. Sciences and research are also a big part of Ashoka's expansion plan. Our current campus in Sonipat is 25 acres. We are building a second one right next to it, which is another 27. But we will go up to 120 acres in the next few years, which is 5 times our current size. In this phase of our expansion, the current one, we will be increasing the student body size from 2,600 to 5,000, the overall student body. The Trivedi School of Biosciences, funded by one of our benefactors and donors, Mr. Ashok Trivedi, will be ready by next year. This school actually has two Nobel laureates on the board of advisors, and it's going to be doing cutting edge research in the biological sciences. The biological sciences are actually like the data of the 21st century, much like data was supposed to be the oil of the 21st century. So the biological sciences are going to find solutions to some of the most important problems that the world is facing. We are also going to have a school of advanced computing, among other things, also a school for innovation, and a science park of 120,000 square feet area. Overall, at Ashoka, as I've already mentioned, this we are extremely proud of. We have the best faculty in the country in the areas in which we have faculty. So currently, we have more than 200 of them. In the sciences, I'm not going to read each of the names, but if you just scan where they're from and what they've done, this is the sciences faculty, very, very senior, very accomplished, and available to teach undergrads. Some of our other faculty members, Professor Rudrangshu Mukherjee is our chancellor, but also a professor of history. And he actually teaches the undergrad class. So does Professor Shamak Roy Chaudhary personally teach undergrad classes. Some other faculty members whom you can see, all of them really PhDs from the finest universities in the world and have taught there and are now in India teaching students at Ashoka. The admissions process, those of you who may not know by any chance, it is beyond cutoffs. So we do not look only at your academic score. The stage at which we are right now is the first stage. So at the application stage, we look at the academic scores. Of course, you don't have your 12 standard scores, but you'll have the predicted ones. SAT or ACT, if you've taken that, it's not mandatory. A set of personal questions that you will answer, really two questions. A recommendation letter, and your non-academic engagement. What else you're interested in? What other activities you may have. And then the assessments, which will take place after you submit your application. It will be held on one day for everybody in your round, which includes the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment, which is all we call the AAA for short, and a half-hour on-the-spot essay, where you will be given a topic while you're taking the assessment, and you will have to write in half an hour. It doesn't have to be a certain number of words, it can even be one paragraph. The idea, obviously, is that your online questions, the answers that you're submitting to them, are seen by many people apart from you. But the half hour essay allows you to see how you think when it's just you and the screen in front of you. At stage two, there will be a shortlist based on the performance in stage one, and there will be an interview with our panels. Stage three will be the admissions decision. There are 5 kinds of decisions. There is a confirmed offer. So, as Damini mentioned earlier, if you apply this round, for example, you will have a confirmed offer in your hand by January. If you cleared the assessments and cleared the process, and you don't have to wait for your 12th standard exams or worry about am I going to get into a Ashoka. You could also get a conditional offer, which is dependent on your 12 board's final results. You could get a wait list, which means that you'll have to wait till there are some seats available. You could get a deferred decision, which will be finalized sometime before the term starts in August. Unfortunately, you could also get a denial of admission because the number of applications is now simply overwhelming, and we do end up denying admission to a large number of students. At stage four, there will be financial aid. So after you receive your offer of admission, which is merit based, it is not linked to your ability to pay. Like I said earlier, we are committed to help you to come to Ashoka if we've selected you. So the financial aid process will begin immediately. We will ask you for certain papers of financial standing. And if it is found that the family needs help with supporting your education at Ashoka, the university will make good the difference. And that much is for sure. 20% of our students are on 100% aid actually and above. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. And nearly half the student body is on some form of aid provided by Ashoka. We also have a merit cum means scholarship for computer science and the sciences. And up to 25 students every year can get a full tuition and hostel waiver on their education if they clear this. We say with confidence and we say with pride that no student has ever been denied admission to Ashoka due to financial constraints. Once we pick you, we'll make sure that you're able to come to Ashoka. This is the current calendar. I'm not going to go into each of the dates, but we are in round one, which is highlighted in green here. The admissions deadline is 22nd of November. So it's a few days away. I hope you have begun your applications. If you haven't, then it's time that you do. The assessments will happen on the 3rd of December. Decisions will be notified on the 24th of January. Your acceptance deadline will be the 29th of Feb, and you'll have to pay the semester one fee by the 10th of June. The last date of admission is 5th of August for the year, and the term will begin on the 19th of August, 2024. I've already spoken about this, worth re-emphasizing. It is a world-class education, but it's affordable for everyone. And it was never about having an education that only a few can afford. The idea is if India needs this education, and if India is to find its rightful place in the world based on education, based on the young people that India is producing, then it needs to be this kind of education needs to be accessible to each and every person in India, irrespective of what their family earnings are. So our fees per year is 11.7 lakhs, including tuition and hostel. But as I said before, no student has ever been denied admissions, education at Ashoka because of financial constraints. We offer need-based financial aid. 45% of our the entire student body is on some form of financial aid provided by the university, some percentage. 20% are studying actually on 100% aid, so they don't pay anything. In 22-23, we actually paid out 78 crores as financial aid. And from the time Ashoka began, we've actually paid out more than 500 crores as financial aid. It's the largest financial aid uh, disbursement in this country from any institution. We also have, as I mentioned, with the Merit Cum Means Scholarship for Computer Science and the Sciences, which includes physics, biochemistry, and maths. Here you could actually get up to 100% waiver on tuition and hostel costs. Some of the other things that students are interested in and parents too, we have one of the best networks with other universities for summer and semester abroad programs. Just a very small sample of 3 kids who went from Ashoka to other institutions in the world, to UC Berkeley, to Stanford, and to Cambridge. We have more than 40 international partners, and these are very deep relationships. You can see the names. They are among the finest names in the world of education across the globe. And so these are the options that you could have for a summer or a semester. There are also other names which are not here, with whom we have arrangements just for summer and semester. So every year, larger and larger numbers of our students are availing of this opportunity. And the other thing which is happening, of course, is students from there come to Ashoka and spend time. What the students really are interested in, the ones on this call, is campus life. And we are happy to say that it is the warmth of home. So when you join Ashoka, you are in a sense coming home as well. It's a second home. And you have modern comforts there, which will make your experience a memorable one. We have fully furnished and air-conditioned residence halls, round-the-clock access to medical assistance. We have common lounges for students with, with a TV and other facilities. We have other services that you will need, including laundry, etc., etc. We have more than 55 clubs and societies, so literally every aspect of human endeavor and creativity that you can think of is represented in these clubs and societies. You can also start your own club and society, depending on your own interest, once you've informed the admin that you wish to do so. These are all very active. They conduct a lot of activities on campus. It's great fun, actually, to be there in campus in the evening and see what's going on. In terms of sports and fitness, we have the gamut. We've also had some champion sports people, but even if you're just a sports enthusiast, you will get a chance to use our facilities. You can see some of them. I don't have to read all of them, but essentially whichever sport that you want to play. And if there's a particular sport that you want to play that we may not have, then we will go out of our way to help you exercise, to help you practice for that as well. Other aspects, very important in the kind of world we live in today, the support that some of the students may need is offered by different parts of Ashoka. The Office of Learning Support supports students with different learning needs, including learning disabilities, physical requirements, etc., etc. The Ashoka Center for Wellbeing provides counseling and psychological support. The Office of Student Affairs creates a robust learning and living environment on campus. And uniquely, the Center for Writing and Communication, something that Ashoka has to its credit, it actually teaches you how to write, something that no institution does. So, writing for impact is something that is not taught anywhere. But here you will learn how to harness the critical thinking and communication skills that you're learning in the syllabus into powerful writing. And that is something that will help you in every aspect of your life, whether you choose to take up a career or start your own venture or just do your own thing. In terms of diversity, I made the point earlier, our constant endeavor is to have the most diverse class possible. I've already made the point about socioeconomic diversity, but in terms of geography and culture, the incoming class of 2023 was 760 students from more than 100 Indian cities and 14 countries and more than 420 schools. In terms of gender diversity, 59% women, 40% men, and 1% other was the last undergrad batch which came in. In terms of outcomes, another thing that parents would particularly be interested in, both in terms of jobs and in terms of higher education, we've had stellar results. For a university which is less than 10 years old, this is a remarkable performance, more than most established universities in India. In terms of placements, which is job placements, in the year which went by, we placed more than 250 students. There were more than 260 companies on campus. 35 lakhs per annum was the highest salary offered, and 12 lakhs per annum was the average salary. And this year's placements, which are actually on, this highest number has actually been crossed and it's become 45. And it's the first foreign placement that Ashoka has had. Some of the institutions which come to Ashoka to hire, you can see in the columns by category of institution, category of organization, the top organizations in banking and finance, management and consulting, technology, education and development, research and think tanks, media and communication, and digital and startup come to Ashoka to hire. And they hire for all kinds of roles. And let me assure you that it has nothing to do with the major that you do at Ashoka. The whole point I was making earlier about skills is what organizations seek. So it does not matter if you haven't done economics, for example, or you're a major in humanities. You could still land a corporate job if that's what you want. So I think that's something that again has been proved over the last 7 years by us in terms of the placement that our students have got into. Some of the best roles, some of the best institutions is something that they have achieved. In terms of higher studies after Ashoka, a very small sample of, of what students have gone on to do. Again, you can see this is a fantastic list of institutions where our students are. If you go to Harvard, for example, you will find that there have been already about 30 Ashokans who have gone to Harvard. And many of these are actually doing PhDs there. So the recognition of the quality of Ashoka's education is very much a presence in the world's finest institutions. This is a small list. The list is actually very long where our students are currently. I think we will close with that. The round one deadline, let me say again, is 22nd of November. The email ID on which you can correspond with us is application.ashoka.edu.in. There is the landline number mentioned there that you can call. You can also mail, the email ID is ugapply@ashoka.edu.in. The application form starts on application.ashoka.edu.in. So, if those of you who haven't started, like I said, please do start. And with that, I'll close the presentation and we can actually get on to the questions which Damini and the team will help us to go through.
Thank you so much, Ali. That was great. Without further ado, I think we'll dive right into the questions. Right off the bat, we have a lot of questions about the admissions process, specifically the Ashoka assessment. Is the Ashoka aptitude assessment waived off for SAT applicants? Is it mandatory for everyone? Or in the case of someone who has given an SAT, would the better score be considered in the admissions process?
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you gave the third option. That is the option. So if you have taken the SAT, okay, so first of all, the assessment is mandatory for everybody. But if you've also taken the SAT or the ACT, we will take the better of the two. So that is the advantage that you will have.
Great. And a few more things related to the admissions process. With regards to financial aid and scholarship that you do get after you have gotten your admission, is the merit comes mean scholarship available for students studying the humanities?
No, currently the merit cum means scholarship is only for the sciences. Like I said, up to 25 students a year can avail of that scholarship. So it's not available to others.
And for the students who study at Ashoka on financial aid, can they get financial aid both for the residence fee waiver and the tuition fee waiver, or is there a limit on that?
Yes. So depending on, because it's need based, so depending on the income level, the scholarship will be awarded. So you could get, it's actually a good question. You could get a certain percent off on your tuition. You could get all the way up to 100% off on your tuition. You could get 100% off on your tuition plus a certain percentage off on your residence, or you could actually get everything off. So it really depends on the income level of the family.
Great. And specific to the different rounds that students can apply in, does applying in the earlier rounds give you a higher chance of acceptance compared to applying in the later rounds?
No, we don't have a round-wise quota, but we do. What we have seen over the last few years is that the first two rounds are actually preferred by students because this round, for example, as I already said, you will get a decision by January, even before your board exam starts. So you are very comfortable having an offer from Ashoka with you. And even if you want to explore something else later, which of course we hope you don't, you have that with you. It's a buffer that is available with you, and you're at peace and you're confident of doing whatever else you want to do, including your board exams and your CUET if you really wish to take. So it has been seen that the first two rounds are preferred more and more by students, but there is no advantage or disadvantage in doing the other rounds. So there's no quota that we have or seat allocation that we have. Overall, the earlier the better for the reason that I've just outlined. Even the second round, you will have an answer by March or April. So again, you will be comfortable.
Right. And speaking of rounds, just to follow up on that, is the application form or the essays in any way different in each round? And if unsuccessful in one round, can a student apply in another round?
No, the form is the same through the cycle, and you can only apply once. And we strongly recommend that students should not try to apply in a different round with a different email ID because that's quite easy for us to figure out.
Right. And this is more of a general, a bit more broad-based question. What is it that Ashoka really looks for in a student while considering them for admission?
So, I think the points I made earlier about liberal education, and in fact, Damini can possibly vouch for that too, and about diversity, is that a liberal education means by definition that you have to have people in the classroom who are different from each other. And the expansion of the mind which happens when you interact with people who are different from you is far greater than a set of 100 similar students sitting in a classroom being taught mechanically by the professor, who then learn in the same way and reproduce answers the same, right? So diversity is of the essence for a university like Ashoka, for a good liberal education institution, right? And that is what drives all our endeavors really. But maybe you can also comment on that. I mean, what your experience has been on
No,
this.
definitely. The entire admission process for me was also extremely holistic. And even with your interview, it's a lot of it is based on what you have written in the admission. So the the idea is
Yeah.
to really get to know you as a person. It's not to quiz you on your technical skills. So each interview lasts for a good amount of time so that the admissions team really has a chance to get to know your potential and your interests and how good of a fit you'll be for Ashoka, not just how much bookish knowledge you have.
Yeah, and just to address the question squarely, which is what you look for, there is no one kind of Ashokan. And I think when you see the Ashokans who are out there in the world doing what they're doing a remarkable number of things which are very different from each other. But what they have in common, I would say, is there is a sense of curiosity about the world, or at least about a particular area. There is the ability to think a little bit, not just to go with received wisdom, but to actually think about what's been said, and then to explore where else it could go. And there is the ability to communicate what you're thinking or what you're processing. And when we are going through the process of selection, which Damini mentioned, it's a holistic process where we're trying to see if the person has at least a kernel of some of these things, right? So we do not expect that what you will become after passing through the Ashoka experience is what you already are. I mean, that we understand. You may not be, but at the very least, I think some curiosity. It doesn't have to be that you're an encyclopedia about the world, but some curiosity about something, about a discipline that you're interested in. If you said that you're interested in history or in physics or in computer science or in eco, what else have you done outside of your books? Or even if you have done nothing outside your books, when you read your books, did you think about how that's applicable in the day, right? So some of that, the ability to, we also understand, by the way, that reading is not the only way that young people are learning these days. There are many other ways, including video and YouTube and ed tech and online learning. But and that's fine. honestly. There are also memes, and there are people learn in all kinds of different ways. But what is it that they have to say about that? And it doesn't mean that they have to be the most eloquent people, but some demonstration of curiosity, some demonstration of having explored something in depth, right? So if you're saying that you did an extracurricular activity, then it shouldn't be that when you started your college applications, you set up a website for like 1 month, or you helped out in your neighborhood. You helped out children who needed it in your neighborhood, and you taught two kids for a month, and you're saying that that is your activity, right? So some amount of commitment to an activity, um, and I think just holistically, there is no one kind of Ashokan, like I said. So you could be someone who has pursued something in depth for like 10 years, or you could be someone who is very, very keen on a particular subject and has gone out of their way to study it. You could also be someone who's done well in everything, as in, just done well in school. It is very much possible. But then you will be able to show us that there is perhaps some other interest that you have in coming to Ashoka. Because let me also tell you that academic rigor, and I think Damini can bear me out, but maybe her journey was easier than others, but academic rigor is non-negotiable for coming to Ashoka. And this is something that I think you must all know, that while it's great fun and it's a transformational experience, but the capacity to learn and study is a non-negotiable. You will have to work very hard, but you will work hard in the company of other people like yourself and different from yourself also, who are also working hard. You will work in groups, and your experience will be such that learning. But Damini, if you had an easy ride, then please feel free to say so.
Oh, no, no, definitely. I think when we say that it's a holistic learning environment and not all your importance is put on exams, people make the mistake of assuming that it's going to be easy and not as tough. But that means that you're going to be tested on class participation, on research, and things that are much more rigorous than just sitting and writing a 3 hour exam. So, academic rigor is definitely something you should be prepared for.
Yeah,
Speaking of assessments,
yeah,
we had a couple more questions about the aptitude assessment during the
yeah,
admissions process.
yeah.
So, could you speak a little bit more, Ali, about what really is the syllabus, quote unquote, for the aptitude test? Would it be based on CBSE? And how should one prepare for it?
So my advice would be to not prepare for it at all, because quite frankly, unlike some of the other entrance tests, this is not an entrance test, right? So you do not have to go to a coaching center or join, some online class run by some of the big ed tech firms. You don't have to. It's only about your language ability and your reasoning ability. So if you've done even something up to 10th level, quite frankly, I think you can do the assessment. I would not stress at all about preparing. Most of you anyway are thick in preparation for class 12, right? And you're revising all the subjects that you've taken up in class 12. So I wouldn't load myself with now I have to worry about this test and how will I prepare for it. Think of it as just one more set of questions that you will have to answer for a short period of time, really. Is the only way that I would think of it. Do not think of it as an additional source of pressure or a burden. Just relax, go there, you'll be fine, honestly. Again, Damini, if your experience was different, please say so.
No, no. In a related vein, actually, you spoke about if someone hasn't done math after 12th. We
Yeah,
had a bunch of questions asking, will the aptitude test or will the foundation courses for principles of science or quantitative reasoning and mathematical thinking be difficult for those who haven't done maths or science after 10th grade? And as someone who hasn't, I assure you, you have nothing to worry about. All of these tests and courses are curated in a way that everyone, from whatever background they might be, have a wonderful learning experience.
yeah.
Moving on to majors and minors at Ashoka, we had a question about whether interdisciplinary majors can be mixed with pure majors.
No, actually, because the whole point of the interdisciplinary measures is that they kind of belong together. So it's quite a load, by the way. So you'll either do a major or you do an interdisciplinary. You can't mix the two. You would have to be superhuman to do that.
And would Ashoka then offer the option to double major, and can someone take up a minor as a major instead?
So, I think um this is something that we get asked a lot. Um, and now with the 4-year program, technically you could do enough courses to do a second major, but I think there are some UGC norms on that. And maybe the team can just answer those in the box. So theoretically, it is possible to do a double major or convert a minor into a major in your 4th year. But now with the NEP, prescribing the number of credits that you need for a major, and that having gone up, I think this is sort of work in progress. So maybe if someone in the team has a clear answer, I think it's important to give that answer. So
Right.
let's keep going, but we'll come back to it. And in the meantime, I think that can be formed up as an answer.
Definitely. Speaking of the NEP and the new 4-year program, one question we had was what would one miss out on if they opt for the 3-year program and an exit after 3 years instead of staying back for the 4th year? And when would they have to sort of make the choice between the two?
So when we started Ashoka, which was in 2014, the program was actually conceived as a 4-year program, but at that time the UGC did not allow non-technical universities to have a 4-year program. Only tech universities could have it. And Ashoka actually was very clear that if you want to get the full benefit out of the 4 years, out of your education, then the 4-year program is the right way to go. And why that is that because you're also doing the foundation courses, you will do enough credits to get a BA or BSc honors degree in 3 years. But if you want to do an application component, or if you want to do a research component, which is what makes this the full experience of the undergrad, then you will need the and therefore you will emerge as a more well-rounded graduate. You will emerge as a graduate even at the end of 3 years, and you will still be able to access whatever higher ed you want to access in other places. By the way, if you want to go to the US for higher education, then you need 12 plus 4. Yeah, 12 plus 4. You need 12 years of school and 4 years of college. So in any case, you would have to do something else after you finish your 3 years to be eligible for that. So this way, you don't have to worry because you're doing a 4-year integrated. By the way, we are not unique here. All universities are implementing this now, including DU. So 4 years has become the default undergrad option.
Right.
So, and
And
application is the difference between the 3rd year and the 4th year.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
So this is a question that is specific to computer science, but I think we could also elaborate about other majors.
yeah.
So if you are a student enrolled and you opt for computer science, so if you decide to essentially change your major at the end of your second or your third semester, do you have to compete with people based on a fixed number of seats?
No, at least not so far. We don't have that kind of rigid boundaries on the number of seats. Um, Computer science, by the way, is now a very popular major at Ashoka. But so far, at least, we haven't had to face this issue. So I wouldn't worry about that. Certainly not at this point. I really wouldn't.
About academic scores, so what happens if for some reason someone hasn't scored that well as they had expected to in their CUET or 12th grade? And for IB students specifically, are they able to transfer their credits from IB as part of their required credits at Ashoka?
So let me answer the second question first. No, you can't transfer credits. So the credits will happen as part of the undergrad program at Ashoka. On the academic side, because this is a holistic process and because so many aspects of you and your journey are being taken into consideration, um, just because someone has 99.99% does not mean that they will get in. And just because someone has, some middle or lower level marks compared to the average, it doesn't mean they won't get in, right? Now, obviously, if someone's got 40%, then they should worry because that may reflect something more than just a bad day at the examination center. But because we are looking at you as a person and we're looking at your entire journey, just not doing well on a particular, in fact, the reason why this holistic process exists is because we recognize that on a particular day in a particular exam you may not do well, but you are still someone who has potential to actually change the world, and that is something that we are seeking, right? So in any case, for 12th standard you're giving a predicted marks, and like I already said, we are not even looking at that to make you an offer, right? So we are looking for academic consistency, which is why there is a class 10, which is why there is an assessment, which is why there is a writing aspect to what we are doing, and your other interests, right? So don't look at it as should I be worrying about what if I don't match up to my predicted marks? If in your application there isn't enough for us to judge that you can make it to Ashoka, then you could get a conditional offer, which is the point I was making earlier. In that case, yes, your class 12 will come into play. But otherwise, it may not. You could get a clear offer even before your class 12 results come out, right?
Right. Ali, could you also elaborate a bit on the summer or semester abroad or exchange program options and how would those opportunities, if they would, be affected for a student on financial aid?
So that's a good question. As far as the process for that is concerned, semester abroad actually means that you are studying in that university for a semester. So there is an academic credit aspect to that. There is also, therefore, a proper stringent selection process to be gone through. So, you'll have to go through the process of the host institution. They will choose which of the students that Ashoka is proposing will go there. We've had a lot of success there, but they will choose. And then if you're lucky enough to go, then great. Now, we do try to offer assistance as far as possible. But in the US, in some of the institutions, um, you will have to pay that semester fee yourself if you do choose to go. Similarly for summer, right? We do try to offer support. We try to get a certain amount of aid for kids who are on aid, but it's not automatic. It's something that we would like to be able to offer everyone, but it's not automatic. So it'll really depend on the circumstances, on the specific student, what kind of aid they're on, and which institution. So unfortunately, I can't give you a sweeping answer to this question. We do try to help as far as possible because we understand that these opportunities should also be open to everyone, just like the opportunity to study at Ashoka is open to everyone.
Right. So we had another few questions about the application itself. First off, is there any application fee to apply to the undergrad program?
No, there's not.
And also, if someone has started already filling out their application, but for whatever reason they aren't able to apply in round one, would they be able to continue with the same application they had started,
Yes,
or would they have to start fresh?
of course you can. You will continue
So,
with the application.
yeah. And this is from a parent who says that their daughter is extremely good in arts and drawing.
Right.
So they're a little concerned whether there would be much scope for her at Ashoka.
No, so I think there's enough scope for someone who's good at any kind of art to find self-expression at Ashoka. I don't know what the specific child wants to study in this case. So, and I think it's a very important ability to be good at art and drawing. But art and drawing per se is not a major that Ashoka is offering, right? So we have a fine arts offering, but it's not a major. So you're not going to major in fine arts from Ashoka. So that's something to keep in mind. But if the child wants opportunities where they can express this ability or participate in competitions or display their art on the campus or be part of a club or start their own club on art, that is very much a possibility. But education, degree wise, we don't offer a degree in art or in the fine arts. So that's something to be clear about at this point.
If I may add to that, Ali,
Yes, of course.
while
Your
we don't offer a major,
Hmm.
Ashoka does have a minor in visual arts,
That's right.
which is a very popular choice for
Yes.
history students, especially. So if that is something they're interested in, they can pursue that.
Yeah.
We also have a bunch more question about the aptitude test.
Yeah.
So, speaking again of people who haven't had math in 11th and 12th,
Yeah.
would there be any option for them to attempt the test without attempting the numerical aptitude section, or are all questions compulsory?
No, all questions are the same. But again, I wouldn't worry honestly. This is not college level maths. This is not advanced calculus or differentiation or anything of the sort. It's just reasoning ability. Again, Damini, maybe you can comment on that.
No, definitely in complete agreement with you. And I think it would ease a lot of the fears if we also address how important the aptitude test is and what happens if you do score badly in the aptitude test.
So, again, I think that the process is designed in such a way that no one thing that you do in this process will get you in or get you out. Right? Now, obviously, if you get a zero in the aptitude test, then we would have to think. But I don't think anyone gets a zero, quite frankly, because I don't think it's possible also to get a zero. These are all bright students. So there's no absolute answer to if you do badly in the aptitude test, will you get rejected? But that you will automatically get rejected if you do badly in the aptitude test, no. It's an aptitude assessment, not a test, like I said. It's not like the JEE where you have a score, and based on that score, you either make it or you don't make it, right? Having one bad day anywhere in your life will not rule you out for admission to Ashoka. That bad day could be in your exams, that bad day could be during the assessment.
Right. Uh, on the subject of scores, would what someone has scored in their boards or other assessment affect financial aid? Or on what basis is the merit
Um,
scholarship awarded?
so financial aid has the basic approach to financial aid that Ashoka has is need based. So once you've made it through the admissions process and you have an offer, like I said earlier, your aid will be based on your family's income and the supportings that we will ask you for. In the case of the sciences only, and that is for up to 25 students, where there is a merit cum means aspect, you will get aid based on your financial status, much like everybody else. But that aid could go all the way up to 100% tuition plus residence based on the other qualifiers which are there for that scholarship. And that includes also a statement of purpose and an interaction with the sciences faculty, right? So, per se, your 12th standard is not so relevant there in either case.
So we will take, I think, one or two more questions in the interest of time.
Sure.
Ali, if you could speak a little bit more about the research component that you spoke about that we get during the fourth year of our degree.
So, I think the idea is that if you really want to not exploit's a bad word, but if you really want to extract the maximum from your degree, then there should be an applied component to the learning that you've had. It's not just theory. It's not just, you know, I know the following five things I'm good at, so I will make sure that in the paper I answer those five questions and I will achieve a solid enough performance and I'm done. And after that, I'll forget all about it. You should be able to design how you're going to apply that. And the research part comes in there. And in that, faculty offer you support. And research being such a big agenda at Ashoka gives you an opportunity that you may not have in other places. In other places, you may have it only at the master's or, in fact, at the PhD level. But here you have it at the undergrad level, right? So you basically get to convert what you've learned in your major into stuff that is relevant to something real. And then once you've done that and you finish that and you go out in the world, you're going out in the world with the knowledge of I learned this subject, I also learned how it intersects with others, and I also applied it in in a way that it could solve a problem which is of relevance to the real world. And therefore I have the confidence to talk about that subject. And I have the confidence to work in whichever area I want to work in because I know how the learning that I got in college actually solves real world problems. So I hope that answers the question. But that is the approach that we are taking to this.
So for the last question, I think we would also look at a bit about what academics is like after you're admitted at Ashoka and how that compares to the admissions process. So when we say that Ashoka looks at,
Maybe you should answer that question.
yeah, if I could just read out the question again, just to
Yeah,
make
sure.
it clear for everyone. So when we say more than your grades, does this refer to Ashoka's approach to its students after they are admitted or to the admissions process itself?
Both.
So both, exactly. The way my experience has been is it's both. We've already spoken about how the admissions process judges you holistically.
Yeah.
But even after you come to Ashoka, again, as I said before, not all of your marking is based on exams. We give a lot of importance to if you're participating in class, if you're regularly doing your readings. Collaborative work is very, very important. So we will have presentations that you should be taking part in with other classmates. You will have research papers. You in a lot of majors, you'll also have opportunities to do creative projects instead of exams. So if you wish to, let's say, build in performing arts your own performance and share it with other people in the college, you have the opportunity to do that. So when we say more than your grades, we don't even consider grades in the conventional sense that we're taught to understand them in school. So I think learning and how you are collaborating with other people in the university of different majors is really what matters at Ashoka. We believe learning is not just about what you score, but again, we believe in learning from the people around us as well.
Yeah.
If you would like to add anything to that, Ali.
No, I mean, I think you're the one who's actually experienced it. So I'm glad it was like that for you.
Unfortunately, I think we will have to cap it at that in the interest of time. But if any of your questions, any of your specific technical questions about any department have been unanswered, you can always write to the admissions team or you can look up information. Most of it would be available at the website. You can email us, as Ali also mentioned earlier. You can also call us on our telephone number. And with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We hope that this webinar has been helpful in your understanding of Ashoka's undergraduate program and the admissions process. We would really, really also appreciate if you could take a minute to share your feedback with us about the session. And you should see a link to the feedback form provided in the chat box. Also note that a recording of today's session is available on Ashoka's YouTube channel in case you would like to revisit it or share it with others. We also have another webinar scheduled for 17th November, Friday, again from 6 to 7 p.m. This will be conducted by the admissions team at Ashoka University, and that will shed light on all questions related to the admissions process were, that were left unanswered today. And the registration link for that should again be in the chat box for you to look at. And before we end the session, I would once again like to reiterate that the deadline for round one admissions to Ashoka's undergrad program is 22nd November 2023. And I really, really encourage all of you to start your application early because if you do that, you also have access to personalized mentorship from our counselors and can get a confirmed offer, as we've mentioned, and financial aid before your final board results are even announced, that is by January 2024. Again, if you have any further queries at all, please do write to us at ugapply@ashoka.edu.in or contact us on the number that should be on your screens right now. And with that, we come to the end of today's session. Please take care, have a fun festive season, and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Diwali to everybody. Thank you, Namini.
Thank you, Ali.